immersed beneath the oceans of ancient and everlasting holiness, or when they soared to the loftiest summits of divine mysteries, they claimed their utterance to be the voice of divinity, the call of God himself. Now, if they actually received revelation, and as the Bible says about Jesus, spoke not his own doctrine, and same thing with other prophets, then it would be true. If they were trying to figure out interpretations on their own, and it was their own doctrine, then it would not be true. Were the eye of discernment to be opened, it would recognize that, in this very state, they have considered themselves utterly effaced and non-existent in the face of him who is the all-pervading, the incorruptible. Methinks they have regarded themselves as utter nothingness, and deemingly their mention in that court an act of blasphemy. For the slightest whispering of self within such a court is an evidence of self-assertion and independent existence in the eyes of them that have attained unto that court. Such a suggestion is itself a grievous transgression. How much more grievous would it be, were aught else to be mentioned in that presence, were man's heart, his tongue, his mind, or his soul be busied with anyone but the well-beloved, were his eyes to behold any countenance other than his beauty, were his ear to be inclined to any melody but his voice, and were his feet to tread any way but his way. In this day the breeze of God is wafted, and his Spirit hath pervaded all things. Such is the outpouring of his grace, that the pen is stilled, and the tongue is speechless. By virtue of this station, they have claimed for themselves the voice of divinity, and the like. Whilst by virtue of their station of messengership, they have declared themselves the messengers of God. In every instance, they have voiced an utterance that would conform to the requirements of the occasion, and have ascribed all these declarations to themselves. Declarations ranging from the realm of divine revelation to the realm of creation, and from the domain of divinity even unto the domain of earthly existence. Thus it is that whatsoever be their utterance, whether it pertain to the realm of divinity, lordship, prophethood, messengership, guardianship, apostleship, or servitude, all is true, beyond the shadow of a doubt. Therefore these sayings which we have quoted in support of our argument must be attentively considered, that the divergent utterances of the manifestations of the unseen and day springs of holiness may cease to agitate the soul and perplex the mind. These words uttered by the luminaries of truth must needs be pondered, and should their significance be not grasped, enlightenment should be sought from the trustees of the depositories of knowledge, that these may expound their meaning and unravel the mystery. For it behooveth no man to interpret the holy words according to his own imperfect understanding, nor having found them to be contrary to his inclination and desires, to reject and repudiate their truth. For such today is the manner of the divines and doctors of the age, who occupy the seats of knowledge and learning, and who have named ignorance knowledge, and called oppression justice, were these to ask the light of truth concerning these images, which their idle fancy hath carved, and were they to find his answer inconsistent with their own conceptions and their own understanding of the book, they would assuredly denounce him who is the mine and wellhead of all knowledge, as the very negation of understanding. Such things have happened in every age. For instance, when Muhammad, the Lord of Being, kind of like the Kyrie in Greek, it's not calling him Lord God or anything, was questioned concerning the new moons, he, as bidden by God, made the reply, "They are periods appointed unto men." See Al-Quran, Surah 2, 889. Thereupon, they that heard him denounced him as an ignorant man. And in the Baha'i faith, there is 19 day months and an intercalary month of 4 or 5 days. So they're not following the lunar cycle like that either. Likewise, in the verse concerning the Spirit, he saith, And they will ask thee of the Spirit. Say, the Spirit proceedeth at my Lord's command. See Al-Quran, Surah 17, ayat 85. As soon as Muhammad's answer was given, they all clamorously protested, saying, Lo, an ignorant man who knoweth not what the Spirit is, calleth himself the revealer of divine knowledge. And now behold the divines of the age, who because of their being honored by his name, and finding that their fathers have acknowledged his revelation, have blindly submitted to his truth. Observe, were this people today to receive such answers in reply to such questionings, they would unhesitatingly reject and denounce them. Nay, they would again utter the same cavils, even as they have uttered them in this day. All this notwithstanding the fact that these essences of being are immensely exalted above such fanciful images, and are immeasurably glorified beyond all these vain sayings, and above the comprehension of every understanding heart. Their so-called learning, when compared with that knowledge, is utter falsehood, and all their understanding naught but blatant error. Nay, whatsoever proceedeth from these minds of divine wisdom, and these treasuries of eternal knowledge, is truth, and not else but the truth. The saying, knowledge is one point, which the foolish have multiplied, is a proof of our argument, and the tradition, knowledge is a light which God sheddeth under the heart of whomsoever he willeth, a confirmation of our statement. Inasmuch as they have not apprehended the meaning of knowledge, and have called by that name those images fashioned by their own fancy, and which have sprung from the embodiments of ignorance, they therefore have inflicted upon the source of knowledge that which thou hast heard and witnessed. For instance, a certain man, Haji Mirza Karim Khan, reputed for his learning and attainments, and accounting himself as one of the preeminent leaders of his people, hath in his book denounced and vilified all the exponents of true learning. By that, I'm pretty sure would mean the Baha'i. This is made abundantly clear by his explicit statements, as well as by his allusions throughout his book. As we have had frequently heard about him, we propose to read some of his works, although we never felt disposed to peruse other people's writings. Yet, as some had questioned us concerning him, we felt it necessary to refer to his books in order that we might answer our questioners with knowledge and understanding. His works in the Arabic tongue were, however, not available, until one day a certain man informed us that one of his compositions, entitled Irshadul Avam, well, Arabic doesn't have a V, Irshadul Awam, Guidance unto the Ignorant, could be found in this city. From this title we perceive the odor of conceit and vainglory, inasmuch as he hath imagined himself a learned man, and regarded the rest of the people ignorant. His worth was, in fact, made known by the very title he had chosen for his book. Remind those already on the path, but certainly try to attract the people that are not on the path. It became evident that its author was following the path of self and desire, and was lost in the wilderness of ignorance and folly. Methinks he had forgotten the well-known tradition which saith, knowledge is all that is noble, and might and power all creation. Notwithstanding, we sent for the book and kept it with us for a few days. It was probably referred to twice. The second time we accidentally came upon the story of the Miraj ascent of Muhammad, of whom was spoken, but for thee I would not have created spheres. We noticed that he had enumerated some 20 or more sciences, the knowledge of which he considered to be essential for the comprehension of the mystery of the Mi'raj. We gathered from his statements that unless a man be deeply versed in them all, he can never attain to a proper understanding of this transcendent and exalted theme. Among the specified sciences were the science of metaphysical abstractions, of alchemy and natural magic, such vain and discarded learnings. This man hath regarded as the prerequisites of understanding of the sacred and abiding mysteries of divine knowledge. Well, the primal one is having the right beliefs and actions, but if you got that, then you understand a lot of stuff. But transformation and using the natural world to have an effect on consciousness or whatever, that's spiritual alchemy, perhaps. But being in balance is a prerequisite for a lot of stuff. Gracious God, such is the measure of his understanding, and yet, behold, what cavils and calumnies hath heaped upon those embodiments of God's infinite knowledge. How well and true is the saying, flingest thou thy calumnies out of the face of them whom the one true God hath made, the trustee of the treasures of his seventh sphere. Not one understanding heart or mind, not one among the wise and learned, hath taken notice of these preposterous statements, and yet how clear and evident it is to every discerning heart that this so-called learning is and hath ever been rejected by him who is the one true God. How can the knowledge of these sciences, which are so contemptible in the eyes of the truly learned, be regarded as essential to the apprehension of the mysteries of the Miraj? Now, certainly, maybe they're translating terms that refer to things of disbelief. Whilst the Lord of the Mi'raj himself was never burdened with a single letter of these limited and obscure learnings, and never defiled his radiant heart with any of these fanciful illusions. Now, if they're actual sciences, how truly hath he said, all human attainment moveth upon a lame donkey, whilst truth, riding upon the wind, darteth across space. By the righteousness of God, whoso desireth to fathom the mystery of this Mi'raj, and craveth a drop from this ocean, if the mirror of his heart be already obscured by the dust of these learnings, he must needs cleanse and purify it, ere the light of this mystery can be reflected therein. In this day, they that are submerged beneath the ocean of ancient knowledge, and dwell within the ark of divine wisdom, forbid the people such idle pursuits. Their shining breasts are, praise be to God, sanctified from every trace of such learning, and are exalted above such grievous veils. We have consumed the densest of all veils with the fire of the love of the beloved. The veil referred to in the saying, The most grievous of all veils is the veil of knowledge. Upon its ashes we have reared the tabernacle of divine knowledge. We have, praise be to God, burned the veils of glory with the fire of the beauty of the best beloved. We have driven from the human heart all else but him who is the desire of the world, and glory therein. We cleave to no knowledge but his knowledge, and we set our hearts on naught save the effulgent glories of his light. We were surprised exceedingly when we observed that his one purpose was to make the people realize that all these learnings were possessed by him. And yet I swear by God that not one breath blowing from the meads of divine knowledge hath ever been wafted upon his soul, nor hath he ever unravelled a single mystery of ancient wisdom. Nay, were the meaning of knowledge ever to be expounded unto him, dismay would fill his heart, and his whole being would shake to its foundation. Notwithstanding his base and senseless statements, behold to what heights of extravagance his claims have reached. Gracious God, how great is our amazement at the way the people have gathered around him, and have borne allegiance to his person. Content with transient dust, these people have turned their face unto it, and cast behind their backs him who is the Lord of lords, satisfied with the croaking of the crow, and enamored with the visage of the raven. They've renounced the melody of the nightingale and the charm of the rose. What unspeakable fallacies the perusal of this pretentious book hath revealed. They are too unworthy for any pen to describe, and too base for one moment's attention. Should a touchstone be found, however, it would instantly distinguish truth from falsehood, light from darkness, and sun from shadow. And so this was sort of a Merkabah mysticism that basically got into a bunch of speculation, maybe. Among the sciences which this pretender hath professed is that of alchemy. We cherish the hope that either a king or a man of preeminent power may call upon him to translate this science from the realm of fancy to the domain of fact, and from the plane of mere pretension to that of actual achievement. Would that this unlearned and humble servant, who never laid any pretension to such things, nor even regarded them as the criterion of true knowledge, might undertake the same task, that thereby the truth might be known and distinguished from falsehood. But of what avail? All this generation could offer us were wounds from its darts, and the only cup it proffered to our lips was the cup of its venom. On our neck we still bear the scar of chains, and upon our body are imprinted the evidences of an unyielding cruelty. And as to this man's attainments, his ignorance, understanding, and belief, behold, what the book which embraceth all things hath revealed. Verily the tree of Zakboom shall be the food of the Atham. See Al-Quran, Surah 44, 43 through 49. And 44, 49. And Zakboom is the, stifling of the neck. So, the sinner. And then follow certain verses until he saith, Taste this, for thou, forsooth, art the mighty Kareem. Wait, 44 or 49? I got ahead of myself with the footnotes, but consider how clearly and explicitly he hath been described in God's incorruptible book. This man, moreover, feigning humility, hath in his own book referred to himself as the Atham servant. Atham in the book of God, mighty among the common herd, Kareem in name. Kind of like Aleister Crowley talking about the horror of Babylon and stuff like this. Well, I'm liberating the terms. It's like insulting terms. Sometimes people do it to themselves. We look at the Jewish financed black culture, as it was called. I mean, literally, the Apollo Theater and stuff like this was run by Jews, and Harlem culture and stuff like this was. I mean, I'm not saying something about all Jews or all blacks or something. I'm just saying some of those terms that became insults, like the one term, for example, that basically is like saying all yours black, and so people going, all I am is black. It's like that's, well, the term means black, but you know, if not describing physical appearance, it's just completely not necessary. Ponder the blessed verse, so that the meaning of the words, there is neither a thing green nor Sarah, but it is noted in an unerring book, see Al-Quran, Surah 6, Ayat 59. May it be imprinted among the tablet of thy heart, notwithstanding a multitude bear him allegiance. They have rejected the Moses of knowledge and justice, and clung to the summary of ignorance. Summary is, it means like caravan leader or something in the ancient Egyptian. So the Israelites weren't the only people out there wandering the desert. They have turned away their eyes from the day star of truth, which shineth in the divine and everlasting heaven, and have utterly ignored its splendor. O my brother, a divine mind only can yield the gems of divine knowledge, and the fragrance of the mystic flower can be inhaled only in the ideal garden, and the lilies of ancient wisdom can blossom nowhere except in the city of a stainless heart. In a rich soil its plants spring forth abundantly by permission of its Lord, and in that soil which is bad they spring forth but scantily. See Al-Quran, Surah 7, Ayat 57. Inasmuch as it hath been clearly shown that only those who are initiated into the divine mysteries can comprehend the melodies uttered by the bird of heaven, it is therefore incumbent upon every one to seek enlightenment from the illumined in heart and from the treasuries of divine mysteries regarding the intricacies of God's faith and abstruse allusions and utterances of the day springs of holiness. Now, like Surah 18 says, and this is being recorded on a Friday, that, there's not the crookedness in it. And that's what we're saying about all God's exemplar messenger prophets, is that there wasn't the crookedness in their message, that it was something obscure that, you just didn't understand on the surface. Now, the practice and experience of it, yeah, that can be something else, but it comes from just the basic thing. And if we have to learn someone else's interpretations, like the Baha'i say, aren't we doing the same thing as the people who just pick up the book themselves? But they're taking it a little bit further than you'd expect a Sufi master to take it. Thus will these mysteries be unraveled, not by the aid of acquired learning, but solely through the assistance of God and the outpourings of His grace. Ask ye therefore of them that have the custody of the Scriptures, if ye know it not. See Al-Quran, Surah 16, Ayat 43. But, O my brother, when a true seeker determineth to take the step of his search in the path leading to the knowledge of the Ancient of Days, he must, before all else, cleanse and purify his heart, which is the seat of revelation of the inner mysteries of God, from the obscuring dust of all acquired knowledge and the illusions of the embodiments of satanic fancy. He must purge his breast, which is the sanctuary of the abiding love of the beloved, of every defilement, and sanctify his soul from all that pertaineth to water and clay, from all shadowy and ephemeral attachments. He must so cleanse his heart that no remnant of either love or hate may linger therein, lest that love blindly incline him to error, or that hate repel him away from the truth. Even as thou dost witness in this day how most of the people, because of such love and hate, are bereft of the immortal face, has strayed far from the embodiments of the divine mysteries, and the shepherdless are roaming through the wilderness of oblivion and error. That seeker must at all times put his trust in God, must renounce the peoples of the earth, detach himself from the world of dust, and cleave unto him who is the Lord of lords. He must never seek to exalt himself above anyone, must wash away from the tablet of his heart every trace of pride and vainglory, must cling unto patience and resignation, observe silence, and refrain from idle talk. For the tongue is a smoldering fire, and excess of speech a deadly poison. Material fire consumeth the body, whereas the fire of the tongue devoureth both heart and soul. The force of the former lasteth but for a time, whilst the effects of the latter endure a century. That seeker should also regard backbiting as grievous error, and keep himself aloof from its dominion, inasmuch as backbiting quencheth the light of the heart, and extinguisheth the life of the soul. He should be content with little, and be freed from all inordinate desire. He should treasure the companionship of those that have renounced the world, and regard avoidance of boastful and worldly people a precious benefit. At the dawn of every day, he should commune with God, and with all his soul persevere in the quest of his beloved. He should consume every wayward thought with the flame of his loving mention, and with the swiftness of lightning pass by all else save him. He should succor the dispossessed, and never withhold his favor from the destitute. He should show kindness to animals, and much more unto his fellow man. To him who is endowed with the power of utterance, he should not hesitate to offer up his life for his beloved, nor allow the censure of the people to turn him away from the truth. He should not wish for others that which he doth not wish for himself, nor promise that which he doth not fulfill. With all his heart should the seeker avoid fellowship with evildoers, and pray for the remission of their sins. He should forgive the sinful, and never despite his low estate, for none knoweth what his own end shall be. How often hath a sinner, at the hour of death, attained to the essence of faith, and quaffing the immortal draught, hath taken his flight unto the celestial concourse. Well, don't wait till death to end up where you should be. And how often hath a devout believer, at the hour of his soul's ascension, been so changed as to fall into the nethermost fire. Our purpose in revealing these convincing and weighty utterances is to impress upon the seeker that he should regard all else besides God as transient, and count all things save him who is the object of all adoration as utter nothingness. Well, that's staying a little too far, but you get the point. These are among the attributes of the exalted, and constitute the hallmark of the spiritually minded. They have already been mentioned in connection with the requirements of the wayfarers that tread the path of positive knowledge. When the detached wayfarer and sincere seeker hath fulfilled these essential conditions, then and only then can he be called a true seeker. Whensoever he hath fulfilled the conditions implied in the verse, "Whoso maketh efforts for us," see Al-Quran, Surah 26:69, he shall enjoy the blessings conferred by the words, "In our ways shall we assuredly guide him," from the same verse. Only when the lamp of search, of earnest striving, of longing desire, of passionate devotion, of fervid love, of rapture and ecstasy is kindled within the seeker's heart, and the breeze of his loving kindness is wafted upon his soul, will the darkness of error be dispelled, the mists of doubts and misgivings be dissipated, the lights of knowledge and certitude envelop his being. At that hour will the mystic herald, bearing the joyful tidings of the Spirit, and shine forth from the city of God, resplendent as the morn. And through the trumpet blast of knowledge will awaken the heart, the soul, and the spirit from the slumber of negligence. Then will the manifold favors and outpouring grace of the Holy and Everlasting Spirit confer such new life upon the seeker that he will find himself endowed with a new eye, a new ear, a new heart, and a new mind. He will contemplate the manifest signs of the universe and will penetrate the hidden mysteries of the soul. Gazing with the eye of God, he will perceive within every atom a door that leadeth him to the stations of absolute certitude. He will discover in all things the mysteries of divine revelation and the evidences of an everlasting manifestation. I swear by God, were he that treadeth the path of guidance and seeketh to scale the heights of righteousness to attain unto this glorious and supreme station, he would inhale at a distance 1,000 leagues the fragrance of God, and would perceive the resplendent morn of a divine guidance rising above the dayspring of all things.